Greetings and welcome back to 50 Shades of Beige. I am making this video in response to several comments that I've gotten on a couple of my more popular videos, namely the 6700 XT meme short that I made and the all-white build case review that I made. I get a lot of people asking me, what's the best deal for an all-white GPU? And I have even more asking me, what's a good graphics card? What's a good CPU? Is this CPU go good with this graphics card? And so on and so forth. A little while ago, I was on Newegg having a look around, and I noticed that there was a new graphics card, and it's all white, and the price is really good. So I kind of wanted to show it to you guys. I think this card is going to be extremely popular once people figure out that it's available. We're gonna go ahead and unbox it, and then we're going to put it in a machine and run some quick benchmarks just to make sure everything's in order so that you can make an informed buying decision. Let's get right to it. So the card we're working with today is the ASRock Steel Legend 6650 XT, as you can see here. The 6650 is a mid to entry level card. I wouldn't say quite entry level, but close. Still a really great card for the price because AMD has discounted these heavily to get rid of them now that they're getting ready to come out with their lower end RDNA 3 cards. Now, one of the key things if you're gonna look for an all white card is you really need to be careful not to pay too much. Graphics card manufacturers know that the white parts are in demand and it's kind of like a vanity thing. And so they tend to charge more for them just by default, regardless of whether they actually perform any better or offer any benefits. So I would just be mindful if you're gonna shop for all white parts. You can get white parts for relatively cheap. You just gotta know how to search for them and what to look for. So let's go ahead and pop this open. Now the 6650 XT is a 1080p King. It's very good. It's about 25 to 30% faster than a GTX 1080, for those of you wondering. So still a really good card for its time. Now these cards did come out a little while ago. I think it's been almost 2 years now. But this particular SKU is relatively new. So we've got ourselves a 3-fan design. I'm already liking what I'm seeing here with this design. It's flashy, but it's not too flashy. Let's go ahead and get it open here. I love opening up a new GPU. Oh yeah. All right. Let's take a look at the card itself. So we've got a pretty sizable 3-fan design here. This is gonna be a little bit bigger than the Gigabyte Eagle that comes in the 6650 XT. It's definitely a sizable card. It would fit in most cases still, though, I feel. You could probably find this on PC Part Picker and get an exact measurement on the length. You definitely aren't putting this in a small form factor build, but I think it's just short enough to where it'll fit fine in a mid tower. Got ourselves a nice back plate, and it looks like we've got a pretty boilerplate cooling solution going on here. The board only extends to about here, which is normal for a 6650 XT. You do have all of this extra surface area, which is nice, and they did cut some fins open here on the bottom so that you can have some airflow through here, which is nice. It's nice. Let's go ahead and see what else we get in the box here. A big old bag of nothing. Got a user manual, and that is it. You know, I miss the days. We used to get stickers and all sorts of fun stuff in the GPU boxes. So some notable features about the Steel Legend specifically. This is an OC model. It's got a mild overclock. They like to brag about their heat pipes, their silent cooling, the striped axial fan. It does say it's a metal backplate. Okay, it felt plastic to me, but I might be wrong. And the other thing is it does have some nice RGB effects, which is great. So things to consider. I don't see a dual BIOS switch, which kind of stinks. Not the end of the world really, but I like to have dual BIOS if I'm gonna spend the money to get a nicer card. So before we tear this down, I'm going to go ahead and put a machine together on the bench, and we're going to see how it performs in comparison to other cards of its class. Let's go ahead and get right to it. All right, we've got our ASRock Steel Legend 6650 XT on the open air bench at the moment. I just wanted to take a second to show you the RGB effects. I think aesthetically this card looks pretty good for the price, especially considering it's a budget offering. A couple of things of note: there are transparent fans which look great with the RGB LEDs, but unfortunately they tend to get dirty and look bad after a couple of years, so you'll want plenty of dust filtration in your case if you buy this card. And also there's a sticker up here that says Steel Legend. In the advertising, this looks like it could possibly be RGB, and you can decide if you're going to knock ASRock for that. I don't think it's such a huge deal considering the price of the card, but certainly something to be considered. And our platform today is a Ryzen 7 5700X, 32 gigs of DDR4 3600 on an MSI A Pro X570 motherboard. Some notes here as we have the benchmark running. We're running about 60 FPS right now in the TimeSpy benchmark. We're maxing out at 165 watts. It hasn't gone a single watt over 165, so I imagine that's its max. Staying at a nice cool 59C, and our GPU clock's maxed out at 22 megahertz. So yeah, I think overall pretty good. And as you can see here, we landed just about average for a system with the same specs on 3D Mark. 10,052 points was our TimeSpy score. Not too shabby, like I said. This card performed as expected. It doesn't overclock very well. You're gonna get maybe 5 or 6% overclock max, and that's if you really dial it in. I only got 3%, and I spent about a half hour overclocking it, and I paid a penalty of about 15 watts on the power curve there. So don't expect this to be a beast when it comes to overclocking. None of the 6650 XTs are. AMD pretty much dialed these in, so they run at max all the time. I was actually pretty surprised at how efficient it was, even when overclocking. I think maxing out at 170, 180 watts on the GPU is pretty good considering the performance. I mean, it could be better, and you can definitely get within 10% of the FPS and undervolt the card a little bit. So, you know, don't be afraid to do that. All right, so there's your answer, everybody. If you're trying to build a white PC on a budget, the Steel Legend is a great option. I don't think that you'll find another card that is colored white, brand new, and below $300. If you can, then good for you. I know some of you prefer NVIDIA graphics cards. To that I say, to each their own. I pledge allegiance to no brand. This is just a great budget offering, and it offers some premium features. Like I showed you, the RGB fans, the triple fan design, the pass-through cooling, the metal backplate, all things that you generally find in cards that are not base model cards. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you soon.